So when you're doing something that challenging and that experimental and that original, you find sort of, again, like-minded people that see that and they sort of like want to be part of it. And so these sort of insurmountable issues suddenly become doable.
Orbiting 250 miles above, the space station provides us with the ultimate view of planet Earth. From this perspective, we ask our guests to engage with 6 questions that orbit around wonder and stories of hopefulness. For the next few minutes, this is our Wonderspace.
Welcome to the 127th episode of the Wonderspace podcast. My name is Steve Cole, and over the past 3 years, I have asked the same 6 questions to amazing people from around the world. Questions that orbit around wonder and stories of hopefulness. This week on Wonderspace, we orbit with Chris Duffy. In 2002, Chris started Duffy London, a design studio devoted to combining art and function. They concept and create unique, innovative furniture, lighting and interiors using fully sustainable and recycled materials and packaging. All their products are handmade to order by skilled craftspeople in the UK and in their workshop in East London. His work has been exhibited around the world and is part of the permanent national collection at the Louvre in Paris. In this episode, Chris talks about his latest bamboo water taxi venture, which he hopes will be taking to the water in the next few years. With this expansive overview of Earth, I start by asking Chris, if we could do a fly past over any part of the world that is significant to you, which place, city or country would it be and why?
Well, basically, I'm the biggest bore in the world. I'll probably get thrown off the space station for driving the astronauts crazy. Anything I've ever lived or wherever else, I'm always pointing out. So every time it's on TV or a film, it's like, I used to live there. So, of course, every time I went over London, I'd be pointing out my house. I'm going, oh, that's my house, like near sort of Tower Bridge. I'm like, just there, So East London, really, of course, is like spent most of my life at my home and where I work and everything, but everywhere I've ever lived and visited as well.
Chris, give us a glimpse into your life story so far, with an emphasis on what you're doing currently.
20 years plus now, I've been designing, and I'm always in the realm of tables and furniture and so on, because though it does take they can even take tens of thousands of pounds to develop a new concept. But back to sort of my boating days and stuff, I've always been passionate about boats. So every once in a while I have an idea about a boat, and I'll sort of basically get an amazingly talented design team who work on all the CAD and the rendering programs and basically in the office next to me. And I'll go in there and I'll be like, stop, okay, like palette cleanser time, forget furniture, forget everything. Here's this idea for a boat. We're going to spend one day, we're going to spend one day taking my little tiny sketch and making it into amazing photorealistic renders, just something that gets this idea across, noted down, a day away from tables or, chairs and things. And sort of basically that day I designed a sort of a boat made of bamboo that had solar panels on the top and an electric drivetrain. And I just thought it would be just a great idea to have take this sort of prehistoric technology for making boats, and then fix that with the most up-to-date technology to make something undeniably green. Because obviously people are making electric cars and green cars, and these are all things I love and everything interesting, but there's always this backlash. Oh, it's not that green, all the materials and whatever else. I'm like, let's make something no one can argue with, yeah? Bamboo, solar, it's electric, yeah? Can't argue. This is possibly the greenest form of transportation since a log and a paddle, ever created, So it did that, and it was just going to be that. It was just going to be a sort of a palette cleanser like that, and And then this was like just during lockdown as well. I was like, there's like one pub that was still open in in London Bridge. And then so I was there meeting a friend of mine, Al, who's a friend from art college in East Town. We made friends all this time. So this was only, so I was there having a drink, and he's like, oh, yeah, like every time we sort of meet sort of usually weekly, for a beer, and he'd always ask what I'm up to this week and what new designs. I'm always developing new designs just nonstop, And I said, oh, you might like this one. This is a fun one. I'm showing him the boat, and he's like, I love that. I love that so much. And like, he just sold his tech company, and he's like, come on, I'll stick some money into your bamboo boat, or develop this as like a company. I'm like, no. This is just like an exercise in getting something that's in my head out of my head so I can move on and make the next table. But he's like, no, I'll put some money in, develop it more. So really, since over the last couple of years, we've just been developing it, because we're set up to develop anything really, because the companies, because we'll work on CAD, it's all rendering, like it's all engineering, it's all manufacturing. So it can be a table, or it could literally be a spaceship. It's all the same tools, and all my guys are experts in these things. So I spent the last couple of years developing it, and it kind of taken on a life of its own. And as soon as anything sort of leaks out about it, people sort of want to join up. So we've had like KUKA Robotics, who make those big robot arms, who make all the cars and stuff. They're like, oh, we love it. Our robot arms can do all the 3D printing and all the sort of additive manufacturing you need. So they've come in. We've had sort of City University. They do like sort of wind tunnel testing and fluid dynamic testing on their supercomputers and in real life. And they've got all this expertise in marine stuff. We've got other big companies that want to come in on the powertrain. So when you're doing something that challenging and that experimental and that original, you find sort of, again, like-minded people that see that, and they sort of like want to be part of it. And so these sort of insurmountable issues suddenly become doable, and you're like, wow, if I just looked at it, it would have been like, no, stop, that's not going to work. But somehow it comes together, and we find a solution.
Where on earth is your place of reset or recharge?
So, Mum and Dad bought this years ago, like a lot of years ago, sort of around 2000, an amazing apartment in the very southern bottom of Spain, on the border of Portugal. So right on the border, right down there. And somehow they managed to buy this place in the most beautiful part of Spain. It's really, really Spanish. It's not like a tourist thing. I think it was right on the beach. And it's amazing. And they were going to sell it because they're like getting a bit too old to travel there now, and I can't go there anymore. And I'm like, God. So I managed to negotiate a friends and family discount and and purchase it off them. So keep it for myself. So I did sort of point out that it's just a waiting game. If I waited it out, I'll get it for free. But they weren't having that. So I bought it off them. So that is my place of absolute rest and recharge, and is vital. It's like a life support system.
What wonder of the natural world excites you the most?
I was thinking sort of a natural phenomenon that kind of took my breath away. Like literally, it was like last year, around this sort of time last year in the sort of the winter season. I was invited by a friend who does the giant wave surfing in Nazaré in Portugal, sort of near Lisbon. And he was like, and he's got like a giant wave surfing. It's like a team sport, and he's got his own team and their little garage next to the Red Bull team. And he's like, Chris, come on, you got to come down. You'll come out on the jet ski. I'll tow you out. Come down. So I'm like, yeah, I'll come down. So okay. So I went down to find out a bit more about it and see him like I would. And you go down there, and it was like there's these you see the huge waves. So there's huge waves, and there's like lighthouse they crash up near, and it's like, and you go, oh wow, okay, yeah, that's quite a big wave, but you know, don't think too much of it. Then you go down to the beach. You go down the beach again, and you look at the waves. You're thinking, oh yeah, okay, big waves, and you feel it, like you get right down in the spray, and you sort of feel it. And you look at it, and but you're not getting it. You're not getting it. And then you see like a little tiny dot on this wave. You're like, what's that little black fly on this wave? And you're like, and that's a person surfing on this wave. You're like, what? Then your brain starts to get the scale of these things, and you're like, oh my God. Because obviously before you got a wave and you got the sky and all these things are big, and you can't understand the scale of it. So, but by these absolutely insane human beings putting themselves onto this wave, you can start to sort of like understand the scale and the power of these waves. And like, yeah, when you see them, it's not like you can't negotiate with it. You can't work with it. You can't like talk, like this thing's coming, you know, it's just like a mountain range that's coming at you at 60 miles an hour. And whether you like it or not, and then you got to deal with that. So I think that's a natural wonder that took my breath away recently.
Whilst orbiting around wonder, here is another 1-minute wonder from our friends at Ask Nature, who look to nature for inspiration to solve design problems in a regenerative way.
Owls are renowned as silent predators, capable of flying just inches from their prey without being detected. The quietness of their flight is owed to several kinds of specialized feathers, which break up turbulent airflow and allow them to swoop and soar silently through the dark of the night. On the leading edges of the feathers on the owl's wings, there are small projections that researchers believe break up incoming air into smaller flows that are quieter and more stable along the wing. These smaller flows make their way down the owl's wing to the trailing edge of the primary feathers, which end in a soft fringe. This fringe breaks up the airflow further as it sheds off the wing, resulting in a significant reduction in noise. Any remaining sound that would be detectable by the owl's prey is absorbed by velvety down feathers on the owl's wings and legs. All the while, these feathers provide insulation, lift, and visual camouflage as well, playing a complex and multi-layered role in the life and abilities of these impressive birds.
Chris, what is your story of hopefulness that's not your own, about a person, business or non-profit who are doing amazing things for the world?
I mean, I watched a YouTube with this like Mr. Beast the other day. I don't know if you've seen this. And he does like 100 wells. He goes to Africa. He's just a YouTube guy, YouTube zillionaire. And he just does these things. And he's like, okay, well, I'm going to go to Africa and build 100 wells in a month or something. And just goes out and gets the rig together, gets all the stuff together, and just goes, boom, village to village, bam, bam, bam. And like sticks in a well, and all these people that have been walking hundreds of miles for the water and dying of dysentery and whatever else, you know, suddenly every school's got a fresh well in it, you know, which affects like the health of all the kids, and then the whole village can use it, and just have this massive knock-on effect. And I'm like, it's such a simple thing, and like each well, it wasn't like it was masses of money, but once it's set up with its solar panels and its tanks, the effect that was having, and I'm like, my God, that always puts into perspective how little I'm doing. But good, like you're like, wow, like if we had a bit more of that going on, that's amazing.
Finally, as we prepare to re-enter the Earth's atmosphere, what insight, wisdom, or question would you like to leave with us?
Well, as an artist, so you're always used to feast and famine. Obviously, this period, I had a very quiet period. If that sort of goes on for too long, like I say, you got to feel and think, is the way that we're going the way I really want to go? You know, have I, or just been putting out fires, bomb, 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 too long without actually taking coordinates, seeing how far off course we've drifted from original goals and where we wanted to be and what we're looking at. do I want to carry on doing the same thing for another decade? You know, time is getting short. How many decades have I got left? And will I turn around and go, what the hell was I doing making another one of those? You know, I should have been pushing sort of this direction. So again, this has been a period for me of like really taking stock. And like I say, I've got the new projects underway and been really had to push forward with that and that sort of flying. So like for me, maybe is that the way I'm supposed to be going? Should be following this route, which I sort of feel that maybe I should be. And like with the Duffy London, again, like with the furniture and everything else, that's always going to be something that I love and is part of me, but maybe sort of more selective on which projects I take on. Do we keep going this direction just because it's financially successful or even critically successful? Or do we be a bit of an anarchist, shed all that and say, that's done, I've said what I want to say on that subject, let's move forwards and try a different way of doing things and perhaps a different life in a way.
To find out more about Duffy London and see some of their incredible designs, go to duffylondon.com. You'll also find links to other projects, including the bamboo water taxi concept. I want to thank Chris for joining us on Wonderspace this week and for engaging with our 6 questions. I finish with a question to you. What is your story of hopefulness that's not your own, about a person, business or non-profit who are doing amazing things for the world? A story that makes a name for someone else. Thanks for listening.